Welcome back. Today we have another review ship, Yukon. Yukon's been around for a while, and so we're not going to go totally into it, but we will bring up some ships that you probably are familiar with. So let's add this, there we go. We are going to be comparing it to the King George and the Duke of York. Now, first off, King George and Duke of York have basically two quad turrets and one double turret. Duke of York has a more, how would I put this, more conventional layout of three turrets of 3. Now, the gun caliber, 351, 356, and 356. So Duke of York does get a higher caliber, and it does overmatch 26 millimeters versus King George's 24 millimeters. 24 millimeters. So you're going to basically tier 5 ships. So basically tier 26, you're going to be pinning mostly tier 6 ships and above or below. So you do get a bit of a increase. The one major selling point, before we go back to that, let's look at the gun range again. 15.7, 16.5, and 18.2. So it is the lowest range of the 3 ships, absolutely. HE wise, I mean, it is still like a Duke of York. It still has that same characteristics, but I would honestly say that the AP is honestly not that bad. Ballistic wise, 732 and 836. And let me compare it to, so it does have a faster AP velocity, but a slower HE velocity. So it is more AP focused than HE focused. So that is a big difference. The main selling point, like when we go back to the equipment for the two, we look at, okay, it gets spotter and fighter for King George, and then a repair party. We go to Duke of York, we get hydro and repair party. When we go to the Yukon, we get fighter and spotter, and then we get this wonderful toy right here, a specialist repair party, which is basically a super heal. That is a huge, huge difference, and you're going to see this super heal being abused by me in the replay. I'm going to be surviving a lot of shit. This ship gets a lot of crap. It gets a lot of crap, absolutely. Unfortunately, since it was rotated out during the last content rotation, so you will have to wait to get it when it comes back. The only other way I believe you can get it at this time is if we go to the armory and community tokens, we go to tier 7 premium ship or container. You do see it is listed under the containers right here. So let's say you have all the tier 7 ships here, except Yukon. You buy this for 30,000 tokens and you will get the Yukon. So there is that little good thing about it. There is a way to obtain it. It's a little bit of gambling, there's a little bit of chance. I bought mine outright. I was hoping to get mine in the container, but I ended up getting a Lazo instead. Which, honestly wasn't a bad thing, considering it saved me a 30,000, like 100,000 coal basically. So I was happy with that. But looking at it, it's honestly not a bad ship. Now, the ship has a lot of controversy. This is the stock camo it gets, and then we're going to show you the default or the alternative. This is the other one you get. Camouflage of HMS Canadian Sackville. Or Sackville, sorry. I'm sorry for all Canadians out there that I butchered that. But this camo and this ship have a long reputed history infuriating the World of Warships player base, with the LittleWhiteMouse and her collaborator working to help design this ship. And this camel that was supposed to be given with it for free, there was a lot of controversy around the ship. It is actually a very beautiful camel with the maple leaf, and we just kind of browse around the ship here. It is a very beautiful camel. Very beautiful camel. I enjoy the camel. The colors are nice. It's just a beautiful camel. If you do want to pay the extra to blues, you can get the Canada camo. Honestly, this is just as great. I think this is just the best camo ever. But Yukon, it's a good ship. It gets a lot of bad rep because of the range. It's honestly not that bad. When you look at the concealment, of course, this isn't a full build concealment on either of these ships. So, I mean, you're probably looking at around the same concealment for all those ships. But it mainly gets a lot of rep because of the gun range, which is a huge part. And then the sheer history between the LittleWhiteMouse, her collaborator, and then wargaming on this. That's the big story behind this ship. And it's one of the reasons why I have also avoided it, because I never really followed this when it was happening, but I was aware of what was happening. And I do kind of go into that on the video, but I hope you enjoy the gameplay, because I really want to highlight that this ship is not as bad. And it's a valid option, a valid alternative to Irresistible if you don't want to spend the 62,000 research points to get it. This is another valid option for a Commonwealth battleship. Of course, I'm really hoping we get a Commonwealth line of battleships. I would really like to see a Commonwealth line. I think that'd be really great. I mean, I was going to say we'd have a line of this, but I mean, I would love to have a line of destroyers and a line of battleships for this whole line. That would be great for the Commonwealth, honestly. And honestly, when you look at the premiums, we need more premiums for the Commonwealth, folks. We really do. We've got Haida that's been removed. Vampire's a research ship, coal ship. They haven't been given a lot of love, in a say. Commonwealth, definitely with Spain, definitely the ones that don't get a lot of love. That's why I always advocate when these new premium ships come out that if it's a line like, say, the Inchon and the Azure Lane Hindenburg, pick it up, because you don't know when these ships will be back, and you could honestly end up paying more to get a ship that would be very good. Now let's get into the replay and show you the Yukon. A lot of negativity around this ship, but it's honestly a very decent ship. Hello. Welcome back to Yukon. Yukon, sorry. Oh, I feel really bad. I always wanted to really pick this ship up because, I've been around for a long time. I was around since 2015, I believe? Yeah, 2015. It was literally right after the game came out. It would have been 2015. And I remember, it might have been 14 actually, 14, 15, right at that December mark. But, I remember the old forums, I remember LittleWhiteMouse, and I remember the drama over this ship.
Strike aircraft will ensure support during the embarkation and evacuation of transport aircraft. Warship commanders, clear the most direct route for the aircraft in the specified sectors. Awaiting instructions.
But this ship, I really don't know where to start with this ship. I really don't. I remember just so much controversy over this ship, over LittleWhiteMouse and Wargaming, and forgot the other person that contributed with her, Cherbursky, I believe. I'm gonna probably butcher that name, but I remember the drama well aware. It even got even worse when the camo for this thing, which I have on the HMS Saxesville, was I believe they were going to offer it for free, or they had agreed to offer it for free, and then they had backtracked and then decided to do something else. And then they finally gave in. But when you buy this ship, you have to buy it. But it's like maybe like 1 or 0 credits. It's one of those really stupid transactions. But you can get this camo for free also. I think it's a very nice looking camo. And we are mid-tier. But the good news is the ships are going to be mainly, you know, New Mexico, New York, Wyoming, Indianapolis. Basically, all of which this ship slaps. It is still a King George V variant. Same with the Duke of York. Same with the King George V. I honestly would say that Duke of York is superior to King George V because it gets that hydro. That hydro is a big bonus. Yukon is another variant. You're going to see me abusing its super heal. Like, I'm going to have some situations that I probably shouldn't survive. I know a lot of people have given this ship a lot of shit. One, because of its history, but a lot of people complain about the range, which is, what is it, like 15.5, or, sorry? Yeah, 15.8. Somewhere around in there. But yeah, in terms of competitive-wise, it's not a very good ship. I mean, I'll be honest. The range is terrible. Other Tier 7 battleships will obviously outrange you. I mean, and if you get up to Tier 8, maybe Tier 9, then, well, you're going to have a very bad time. But, and that is a downside of bringing this thing into ops. You do run the risk of getting slide up tier. Not likely, but since you're 7, you're kind of in that sweet spot where you're at least guaranteed. Because since you're a 7 and an 8, mostly a 7, you at least have the option to have the Narai and Killer Whale, which are perfectly great ops for this ship also. But I mean, like, you see, I'm almost at half health, but it's all fire damage, so I can literally heal it all back. So I'm not really worried. And the AP coming in, you know, I can bounce that. But Yukon was just a very... Though I will be honest, at the time, you know, I followed it, but I didn't follow it super closely. Because I didn't follow that argument, but I can understand what everyone was saying about, you know, what Wargaming was doing, especially for Little White, because LittleWhiteMouse and her friend did a lot of the work on this ship. And then Wargaming kind of just says, no, fuck you, basically. Which, to be honest, in hindsight, it's not really surprising compared to what we see Wargaming do now. But I will say that when they got rid of the old forms, one of the casualties was definitely LittleWhiteMouse. It was a shame to lose her reviews. Her reviews were amazing. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Hers were great. I think hers outdid every CC out there. I mean, it was so detailed. Like, she had turn circles. She put so much work into these reviews. More than any contributor, any community contributor. If anything, you know, her reviews were better than the wiki page. Losing her was definitely a blow to the World of Warships community. Because the original forums were her way of getting her thing out, getting her, you know, her posts and everything out there. And a lot of people did definitely bring that up when they were wanting to, you know, preserve the forums. And even I was like, I don't agree with this. I really don't. I think it'll be
to use draconian measures. I would say it was a censorship issue, which I think it is there. I've seen a lot of people complain about that. And, you know, Wargaming says, oh, well, the forums, you know, they weren't really active. They may not have been active, but at least they had the die-hard, the players that really cared. The players that were on the forums that were complaining and, you know, saying, hey, were the ones that truly cared about the game. Even I was pretty vocal towards the end, but even I was just kind of like, I also knew, because I've been around for a long time, even for the Puerto Rico. And I would like to highlight, and this is going to go back a long way to Earl Grey. He was a former World of Warships community person. He was out of Russia, and he definitely, you know, went, let's just say he went against the grain for wargaming. And in his video, one of his videos, and you can look this up on YouTube, Earl Grey. So I like Earl, like I love Earl, and then Grey. And then look up Chernobyl, and it'll be like a Chernobyl video. It'll basically be him saying that Wargaming is saying a fuck you to basically all the veteran players, and is trying to melt the player base, basically trying to get the most out of these new players to get the money. And we are absolutely seeing that. And that video is like 5 years old, at least 5 years old. It's old, but it's still accurate. The Puerto Rico debacle, although I will say, they did learn from the Puerto Rico and did when they brought the dockyard back for the second iteration. They did a phenomenal job, and they really listened to the community on that. Because I do agree that seeing the ship being built was a great. Even when I tested it on the test server, the Puerto Rico dockyard the first time, I really enjoyed seeing the ship being built. I really thought that was a cool feature. I still remember that patch quite well, actually. I remember it being Christmas. My computer always crashing. The Puerto Rico being within, if I wanted to spend $100, I could have got the Puerto Rico, and then I could have got the certificate the next round. I still kind of beat myself up over that. But I also remember it mostly because there was 1v1 tier 8 sprints. And yeah, I took Enterprise, and I basically finished it in like 3 days just by using Enterprise. And we're talking OG Enterprise with the OG original rockets that destroy DDs, destroy everything. Literally the only ship I was scared of was honestly Prince Eugen, because I knew it had the maneuverability and the health to really, and the AA, and really the maneuverability to really harm me. I remember one match I was actually on I forget the map. It's one of the low tier maps, definitely. And I was against a Kaga, and Kaga and I literally just charged in against each other. And, well, I was citadeling it through the flight deck with my armor-piercing bombs, so I remember that patch very well. But Yukon is a pretty good ship. And I know I went on a rant there, but everyone knows the Yukon by this point. I'm just showing, you know, giving you my honest review on this ship. I think it's a good ship. And, you know, Cap was saying, why are you using HE? Well, one, it's a Ranger. Ranger can have HE Citadel. You do run the risk of overpinning with armor piercing. But with HE, you know, that was a 14K salvo. And he's still sitting still, so, you know, shoot again. Another like 10K. I think Cap said he got about 2 Citadels off that one. So probably for about the amount of HP that we probably pretty much did about the same amount of HP. And damage. Yeah, I'd say we did about the same amount.
Returning to ship.
Cap does shoot, and he will take that kill. I was a little salty about that, but Cap is not going to live, and we're going to see that. You know, he's still pretty full health. He's not going to be having a good time there. I'm not having a good time right now. Double fires. I do have Furious on, so my reload does go down to 23 seconds. So I at least have, and as long as I angle away, you know, I can mitigate some of the damage. I'm not using my DCP just yet because I really want to get this Pincy out. Because I really don't want 203 millimeter HE rounds coming at me. So I'm like, I really want to get this cruise ship down. But I'm like, I gotta run. Cap gets another beautifully hit. He is gonna die though. He's gonna get his ass citadeled by the North Carolina. And then, you know, we have the triple DDs that spawn right on top of us.
I need support.
There goes, and here comes the North Coast salvo. And he's doing pretty well for so. And that salvo pretty much really hurt him. I probably also didn't help by cutting in front of him. Yeah, that was also on my bad. But I also have to highlight the team. You still your two ships out here getting kind of ransacked, and you don't really come out. Why did you not come out? Why? Why? I mean, you could have easily not. You could have came out. I mean, they're all like focused on those other ships over there. I just don't know. I really don't know. I honestly don't know.
The ship is on fire.
Now, I honestly thought Nachi was gonna die here. I really did. I really didn't think Nachi was gonna die here. But as you can see, as far as potential damage and surviving, when it isn't Citadel damage, Yukon is a pretty darn good ship at 2 million potential. That's a lot of potential. You usually have to be in tier 10. You usually have to be in the fight continuously. And, you know, we were in the fight pretty continuously, drawing a lot of fire. I should have had AP loaded. I don't believe I have gun feeder on this. No, I do not. I do not have gun feeder. But in my defense, this is my Brisbane captain. I do not have a lot of I don't have a lot of points on my Commonwealth captains. Considering that at the time of this recording, you know, when I played this game, we didn't have Irresistible. We had just Yukon and the Commonwealth cruisers. That's about it. I do plan on getting Irresistible. I'm curious to see what that ship is about. I know my sources said that it's not really a good ship, but I definitely want to at least get it just because, one, you get a super container and you get a New Year's certificate every year. Those add up.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
But, you know, 231K, I really did enjoy this ship. And this was my first match. So, you know, I always want to play ultra aggressive. You know me. But I also do that in a way so you guys can actually see the ship. So if I can put it under ideal combat positions as you would put in randoms, then I can give you guys a better feel of this ship. And I think it's a good ship. I really do. Now, the ship is going to be rotated out in 14.6. So you'll most likely have to wait for it to come back around. But I would definitely give this ship my seal of approval. I think it's a damn good ship. It's a beautiful ship. It's, as you could tell by the accuracy, it's very accurate. I was getting pretty consistent hits. Like, let's bring that up for you. Yeah, we had a majority of our penetrations were penetrations. We were getting pretty good solid damage. And then you get the spotter plane in case of that. And just look at the dispersion. That's pretty damn good. A little under lead, of course. I'm just a little short, but my aim was pretty much on. And if you do kind of wonder why and notice that my reticle has changed compared to the older videos, I have gone back to the original aiming reticle, which is usually the standard one that you usually get in World of Warships. So I don't have that extra zoom anymore. So I'm having to relearn my old reticle. I used to have it down to an art, and then I went to a zoom one on the mod station, and then it felt like something was causing my game to crash, so I gave it up. Now I'm having to relearn. So in a sense, I'm handicapping myself. But if it means getting a little bit more game stability, and I will be honest, I have been getting a lot more game stability since I reinstalled the game and looked at all the mods and really just put the essentials on there. I really did seem to fix my bug issues that I was having, because I haven't had hardly any issues since I did our clean, fresh reinstall and rechecked the mods. So if you're going to be using Aslan's or you're going to use the mod station, just make sure you use the bare essentials. Forget the camels. Use like session stats, the angle mod that I have on with the navigator. I choose those. Those are really the only two, because then I like the session stats, because I like to be able to know how much credits did I make, how much free XP am I making, and then it lets me know how much can I spend, how much am I able to, what am I gaining on a sustainable day, like what am I, getting. Yeah, my aim kind of tapered off. I will say though that the Zeiton I was me and Cap were like really wondering on that. We were just really confused on that one. And you're gonna see that definitely reflected in the end score. And of course at the very end we get to sit it out. So we make 500,277 for a tier 7, and that's actually pretty good. And with a first time, no experience, I'll take that. I'll take that. Now we look at the team score. Pretty decent lead in terms of, top of the team with 1568. Cap second with 1406, and then Baltimore did a pretty good job. But I'd like to highlight, I don't really understand. Now, Nachi could have actually been up higher, a lot higher. Miyoko is just a great ship. It has pretty much the same range. I believe it's like 15.7, I believe, also. So it has the exact same range as Yukon. So what I'm doing, the Nachi could have been doing. And Nachi has 10-kilometer torps, and it's a Miyoko. It burns. So it would be so if he had played right, he could have easily been up here a lot more. Absolutely. But I really do think the ship is definitely worth it. Some might say no, some might say yes, but if you're really just looking for a good Commonwealth battleship to help train your captains, and you don't want to spend all the coal on Brisbane, even though Brisbane's good. Don't get me wrong, Brisbane is great. But if you want something with a little bit more survivability and you don't have the ability to get the Irresistible and you want a Commonwealth battleship, go for Yukon when it comes back around. Absolutely go for this ship. I think it's a well-rounded ship. I think it's really good. I honestly never really had a negative view of Yukon. It's always been a ship I've wanted to pick up. And you know, we make almost $500,000. And with our modifier on, you know, we made 11,000 for our commander. So that's always good. But the green boost, you know, 2,200, that's pretty good. You know, for normal ops, this is actually a decent pay. Obviously, you know, if you had blue boosters or red boosters, it's actually going to be a lot higher. If I had a blue booster, that probably would have been almost 1,000,000 credits. I would say probably 800,000 at most. Maybe I would say 700 to 800,000 for sure. And then you factor in what you're losing. I highly doubt it would have been 1,000,000. Free XP, I would say 6,000 if I was lucky. And that's being optimistic. But overall, Yukon, I really do enjoy this ship. Definitely has a lot of history around it. Some of it not the best, but definitely pick this ship up.